Her grandfather farmed and her father prioritized raising their own food. Now, Dr. Paula Hillmann has used her experiences growing up in her work as a counseling psychologist for the Wisconsin Farm Center. I'm Kylie Allen for the Midwest Farm Report, today talking to Dr. Paula Hillmann as she tells us why she's motivated by the work she does.
The reason I'm really interested in the wellness program, a sad story in my life, is that my grandfather, who was a farmer in the Hancock Plainfield area, lost his farm, and it had to be sold, and it was a bankruptcy, and it was a very sad situation for him. And this was in the 1940s, and he lost his farm, and tried to establish himself elsewhere, but really dealt with a lot of mental health problems, as it turns out. I never knew my grandfather. My grandfather died by suicide in 1945, and it was a very sad thing. But he died before I was born, and the stigma, it was such that it was hidden. His history was hidden. He was never talked about. If I asked questions, they were not answered, and I was told not to ask anymore. And then as a professional, at my stage in life, I really thought to do honor to my grandfather and to farmers who are going through situations related to mental health. It was just because I could bring my history of emotional pain, not knowing my grandfather, and wondering why this happened to what we're dealing with now.
Well, I think that's all too important to share. When you're talking to people in the farming community, what are some of those common things that they are struggling with when it comes to mental health?
Well, first, I think the biggest struggle is that we live in a culture where people don't want to talk about it. And I think developing trust first of all, when you're having a struggle, there's always some level of trauma that's involved. And what we know now about trauma, if trauma isn't treated, it becomes something that's known as PTSD, which is post-trauma stress disorder, and that's becoming much more recognized. But I think the biggest struggle for farmers is just talking, getting used to getting beyond the stigma that so many people face with mental health issues, getting beyond that, and then being assured that when you talk with a therapist, that what's said in the room stays in the room, that it's really there is a way to heal, to recover, to find yourself again. And so that's a really important part of an initial step dealing with farmers.
If someone is going through a hard situation, what's your message to them?
My message is people care about you, and there is help. People will surround themselves with you. Don't think that you're there alone. There are people to help you, and there's treatment, and there's another door that can open to a good life, a happy life, and it's there. I guess the message that I'm trying to send is that, yes, life is chaotic. Life is a tornado sometimes, but life in a tornado can be destructive. Lots of things can be destructive, but there are choices, and if you make choices on behalf of yourself, life can be in color, and you can open up a new door to your life, and it can be more wonderful than the other one was. So it's just a lesson, and we have the capacity to change and make good choices and find the resources, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Dr. Paula Hillmann, counseling psychologist with the Wisconsin Farm Center, along with us. Here at the Midwest Farm Report, we know that mental health is important. That's why this week we're happy to work with our friends at Rural Mutual Insurance to have important conversations. At Rural Mutual Insurance, we're more than policies. We're your Wisconsin neighbors, here to protect what matters most. Together, we're keeping families, farms, and communities strong. Learn more at ruralmutual.com.